Girivaradha Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradha Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradha Yashodanandana Brajatananam Yashodanandana Brajatananam Yashodanandana Brajatananam Yashodanandana Brajajanaram Jamunatira Vanachat Jamunatira Vanachat Jamunatira Vanachat Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Shri Radha Madhava Asta Sakhi Pancha Tattva Prahlad Maharaj Nishma Bhagavan Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashta Praesva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtiki. All together.
All that is troublesome to the heart is also completely destroyed, and loving service of the personality of Godhead, His praise and transcendental song, establish that there.
So they were reading from chapter 2, continuing on this canto. Divinity and Divine Service. We're going to cover all the way to verse 7. We're going to try to focus more on verse 6. We'll just read translation up to 7 and then we're going to read Sanskrit 6. Ugra Shrava, Suta Goswami, the son of Ramaharshana, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked him and thus attempted to reply. Should we take turns?
Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage, Shukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. And he went away to take up the renounced order of life sannyas, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher castes. His father, Vyasadeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son!' Indeed, all the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the deep flower.
It was high by.
Offer respectful obeisances unto Suta and the spiritual master of all sages, the son of who, out of his great compassion to materialists, struggled to cross over the dark street to existence, spoke this most confidential subject to the creed of knowledge after having personally assimilated by experience.
Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, One should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
That sounds familiar.
O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self.
Dharma from by which men can attain to love service unto that sense. Such devotional service must be unmotivated, unsatisfied.
And the winner is
By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and passion.
Hey. Oh, that's 6. So yeah, we're gonna go back to 6. Savepam saparodharmo yato bhakti radokshaje aitukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati Savaipam saparodharmo yato bhakti radokshaje aitukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati Savaipam saparodharmo yato bhakti radokshaje aitukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati Savaipam saparodharmo bhakti radokshaje aitukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati
Savaipam samparodharmo
Thank you. Word by word all together. Sada, Sunji. And translation. The Supreme Krishna Dharma service to sing the Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated, uninterrupted. Unmotivated, uninterrupted. Who does that? Only devotees. And mothers. Mothers are devotees. I just, a friend of mine, some of you might know him, Ganesham, just got a kid, baby boy, Arjuna. So I was reminded of, I said, you're going to be practicing this. Just like Gadadhar, which is another friend of mine, Gadadhar Pandit. They used to both come here and give classes, but now they're doing the uninterrupted and unmotivated to their little, well, in Ghanshyam's case, it's a baby boy and Gadadhar's baby girl. It's around the clock, and it's as pure as you can get in this material world. So let's hear from the purport. In this statement, Sri Suta Goswami answers the first question of the sages of Naimisharanya. The sages ask him to summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures that present the most essential part, so that fallen people or the people in general might easily take it up. The Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for the human being. One is called pravritti marga, or the path of sense enjoyment, and the other is called the nivritti marga, or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. Material existence of the living being is a diseased condition of actual life. Actual life is spiritual existence, or Brahmabhuta existence, where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. Anybody doubt that? No? Okay. There is no happiness at all. There's just a futile attempt to get rid of the miseries, and temporary cessation of misery is falsely called happiness. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment, which is temporary, miserable, and illusory, wow, it's just like hammering it down, is inferior. But devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal, blissful, and all cognizant life, is called the superior quality of occupation. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with inferior quality. For example, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Renunciation or abnegation for ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in a diseased condition of life. Such enjoyment only aggravates the symptoms of disease and increases its duration. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality, i.e., without the least desire for material enjoyment. One should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation in the form of devotional service of the Lord without any tinge of unnecessary desire, fruitive action, and philosophical speculation. This alone can lead one to perpetual solace in his service. We have purposely denoted dharma as occupation because the root meaning of the word dharma is that which sustains one's existence. That's a nice definition. In case you've forgotten, first comes duty, then everything else, because that will sustain you. If you take care of the Dharma will take care of you. It's a loving relationship. A living being's sustenance of existence is to coordinate his activities with his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna is the central pivot of living beings, and he is the all-attractive living entity or eternal form amongst all other living beings or eternal forms. each and every living being has his eternal form in a spiritual existence. And Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. Krishna is the complete whole, and everything else is his part and parcel. The relation is one of the servant, the served. It is transcendental and is completely distinct from our experience in material existence. This relation of servant and the served is most congenial form of intimacy. That's a nice one too. One can realize it as devotional service progresses. Everyone should engage himself in that transcendental loving service of the Lord, even in the present conditional state of material existence. That will gradually give one the clue to actual life and please him to complete satisfaction. Yayatma suprasidati. You become completely satisfied. Omangyana timirandasya, gyananjana shalakaya, chakshurin meritam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Shri Chaitanya mano vishtam stapitam yena bhutale swayam rupanam isvapadantikam. He Krishna karuna sindhu dinabandhu jagate gopesha gopika kanata namastate tapta kanchana gaurangi radhe Rishabhanu sute devi pranamami padipye panchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnave o namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So there were questions and there come the answers being unrolled in this second chapter of the first canto, titled Divinity and Divine Service. And particularly, Suta Goswami is answering the first question of the sages in Naimisharanya, which was, what was the first question? Please use the mic or just project your voice. Mic.
What is the absolute and ultimate?
What is the ultimate good for all humanity, right? At all times. You know, the universal good for all humanity, not just humanity, for everybody, all living at all times. It's a very accommodating question. It's not a selfish question. The sages didn't gather there to find out where's our food, where's our shelter, where's our, what else? Huh? Stipend. Why is, I was just thinking about that. Why is the Wi-Fi not working? There was a different kind of concern they had. Of course, all of these other questions can be part of it, the greatest scheme of things. But mainly they gathered there it was at the junction of two yugas. And they gathered there to perform the yajna, sacrifice, to curtail or curb down this influence of upcoming age, Kali. So they gathered there determined to stay there for 1,000 years. And it was quite a lot of them. It was a large number of sages, I think like between 70, 80,000 of them. And even Balaram came. Yesterday we heard so many pastimes of Balaram. The class, Shruti Sagar Prabhu. was wonderful. But this one wasn't mentioned. When Balaram came and presiding, or sages, they actually appointed Ramaharshana, who is the father of Suta, Suta Goswami, who now is speaking Bhagavatam, remembering what he heard when he was in a different place. The place where Parikshit met Shukadeva Goswami, the original reciter of Bhagavatam. And it was at Sukratal. Sukratal is the place where it's a beautiful place, a wooden area on the bank of the Ganges, where Parikshit went after he was cursed. He just went straight there to, leaving the crown and the throne behind. But not in a responsible way. He did it in a very responsible way. He left behind his son, was it Jaimajaya? Kind of left him in charge. He didn't drop a ball. He was a responsible king. And he went there straight to this place of Sukratal, and on the bank of the Ganges. You can imagine, Sukratal is like between Delhi and Haridwar, like halfway. So Ganges, well, at that time, Ganges wasn't polluted at any place, but you can imagine the more upstream you go, the cleaner and nicer it is today. But at that time, 5,000 years ago, you can imagine how beautiful the setting must have been to hear Srimad Bhagavatam in such a sanctified assembly. And so there, from Sukratal, Suta Goswami was present. And the name here for him is Ugra Shrava, right? Ugra Shrava, that was one of the names of Suta Goswami. What is the meaning, Ugra Shrava? Ugra is, something horrible. Fierce, yeah. That Ugra doesn't always have a negative connotation. Ugra is also, could be also with some positive connotations, like sharp, or somebody said fierce. And Shrava is short from Shravana. So one who has very fierce or sharp ability to hear. And there, early on in previous chapter, we heard how important that is. The word was shu shu shu. To hear with rapt attention, to be eager to hear, to be anxious to hear. And you can't have that if you think you can settle here in this material world. These are diametrically, opposed, right? They go against. Unless you have that desire to get out, or actually, let me step back a little bit more. Unless you realize how horrible this place is, you won't have a desire. You will just try to settle in, to adjust, and adjust some more. And create that false sense of security, or you were talking about it yesterday, right? Safety in this world. There's none. We can put the sandbags, you can put, but there's always that one branch, it just comes out of nowhere. We're sitting in the side porch, just talking, and all of a sudden, I won't hit the mic this time. Pow! So what was that? You were all gone. You were all gone to relish the beautiful Abhishek of Krishna Bhara. But we witnessed how vulnerable our situation in this world is. And then, then I saw some devotees who returned. They came back. They were walking free. I said, don't walk. Do not walk around. There's too many trees. Totally clueless, oblivious to the fact that this branch has fallen and how dangerous and peculiar the walk, just walking around the property can be. You walk and all of a sudden, you get grazed or knocked out. That was heavy fall, right? We heard a very loud sound. And it wasn't that big of a branch. It was a small branch, but went straight where it broke. It went straight with a sharp end first, and it punctured one of the sheds. Spice shed, more precisely. It's a danger at every step. Huh? Spicy. It's very spicy to live in this world. So it will be very difficult to have that impetus if you think you can, just figure it out. We have to become materially exhausted. Kinchana gochara. In order to have that shu quality, that rapt attention. When Suta Goswami, Vyasadeva, Shukadev, Suta, or any of the representatives delivered the message, without that rapt attention, it would be very difficult to hear, without that desire to get out. Because these are the instructions for the benefit of all humanity at all times. So it's the essence of all the advice. It's something that we all inquire about on a daily basis, but we're looking for it in rather wrong places. Big university right behind us. What questions they do discuss? What questions what topics they talk about? Yeah, it's very little or nothing spiritual there, right? Tell us more. Yeah. There's no, yes, Nico. There's no questions of that kind.
My experience with school is it's really just they talk about institutional matters, and there's really nothing to talk about the present moment or being grounded or spirituality,
Yeah. Very, very little or nothing. That's why everybody's so ecstatic and blissful when you walk down the street, right? Everybody's like, Haribo, we figure it out. We're going back home, back to Godhead. Now everybody's like, I kid you not, there's people with serious depression about deadlines and a lot of freshmen from India. I just had an encounter with one. I don't know what to he's shaking. I don't know what to do. Everything is crammed and jammed. I can't manage. So he's looking for friends, and that's why I reached out to a few of you. So to kind of connect him and tell him it's okay. The more he hears from more of us, the better. Yes, Prabhu.
I was just going to say, it's how do I squeeze the most money out of this situation I can with the least amount of effort?
Because money is going to patch all my holes, right?
Yes. So I'll spend a lot of money that's not even mine to try to make more money that's not even mine. And then 20 years later, you owe $100,000.
We've been duped. We've been duped. What's going on, guys? Wow. So, but if you have no choice, this is the point. If you have no choice, if that's all you got, then you got to suck it up, right? So we come with alternative. say, hey, there's Vyasadeva, there's Shukadev, there's Suta. And then Suta, such a sharp hearing, he had that ability of, what's it called? The Shrutidhar. Once heard, he was able to retain, not only retain, but also put in practice, because that's when you benefit. And then he takes it to Naimisharanya. When Balaram came, his father was actually on the presiding seat to speak all these 80,000 sages, but he didn't stood up for Balaram. Everybody stood up, but he didn't, because he was on the seat and he thought, well, I don't have time, situated. And then what? Balaram just eliminated him with the grass. With the grass, simply heads roll. And interestingly, later on in 10th canto, it says that the whole purpose of education is to actually learn to teach you manners and respect. Without that, without proper character, what's the use of knowledge? It's just a burden. Did you have your hand? Okay, go ahead. I don't want to put it.
I feel like you kind of went on with the topic. So this is just what they were talking about, and it's relative anymore. But I just wanted to mention that it's not that we have to renounce doing all those things that people go to university for. We can still have a degree and work and make money. We just have a different motive.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for the clarity. We're not bashing university. Just for the record. We're bashing the wrong, or rather ignorant motives, that there is some happiness in this world that we can settle. You can settle in this because you cannot. Eventually, nobody gets out of here alive. So yeah, the motive is get the best out of the bad bargain, add Krishna, right? And the way we do that is by paying attention to what's being said here. And what's being said here is that yayatma suprasidati, the condition of being fully satisfied, is possible by the linking process to Krishna, yato bhakti adokshaje. Adokshaja is one of the names of Krishna, right? What is the meaning, adokshaja? You cannot grasp with your own blunt senses. You have to add bhakti. So with the bhakti, Krishna is captured. Again and again, we see that through so many pastimes. Don't try with your, whatever intellectual power, whatever we are endowed with, good karma and nature, good birth. There are 4 things, or 3 or 4 things. Good birth, good brain, beauty, and that's good brain. Mother Kunti prays for those things too. Yes, Shri, good fortune. None of those will cut it. You might have it. You might have it. You won't have it. The PhD degree and nice education. But unless you engage it with the right motive, it won't be a linking to the higher goal. And therefore, it won't bring the complete or full satisfaction. Something will be missing. So this is the process. And Rupa Goswami also, in Rupa Goswami's teachings, we hear also, Sarvopadi Vinimukta. And we hear the Anya Bilashita Shunyam. We have to rid ourselves from these false conceptions that without Krishna, we can actually make a headway. No, you will be like a hamster in a hamster wheel, going nowhere fast. And that will be a very frustrating experience. So the whole process, the whole thing is to remind us And what is the most important instruction? Actually, here we have, sages are inquiring. Suta Goswami is starting to answer. Just fast forward. And, what is the essential thing to do for the, benefit of all humanity? What is the most important instruction? Once you meet your spiritual master, which one is it that is most important? They'll help you with most important instruction that we hear that has two sides. What is the most important instruction that has two sides? Yeah, always. And to facilitate that, what instruction from a spiritual master is most important one? Yeah, chanting Hare Krishna. Gopal. And second one, four rules and regs. And anything after that is just a detail. Yeah. So minimum 16 rounds. That will accommodate to always remember and never forget. Now, let me ask you a question. When you chant Hare Krishna, do you try to remember Krishna or you try to hear the Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Option A and option B. Akshay, who is for the option A? Who's doing the option A? Always, trying really hard to remember Krishna. We got two, only two, three. All right, who is option B that simply trying to hear? I guess the rest of you. Or maybe there are those who are also falling asleep right now. So they're in between. Dream those small snippets of death. Asleep, or rather sleep. Asleep. So what do we do? I mean, I like you. I like both groups equally, but what do I do? What do I do? Should I do like A or should I do SB? Do both. Oh, you're making it harder for me. Okay, if you hear, then you're going to remember. Yeah, I like that. I like that one less. Because it can be distractive and it can be artificial. Try to jam Krishna in my impure consciousness, my impure mind. It's not a good resting place. So, but when I hear, that will purify me. And without effort, Krishna will gladly come to that resting place, such as pure heart for his devotee. So I have to admit, I favor the other one because it's more natural. And the other one can be rather, distracting. Prabhupada said in that regard, simply try to hear yourself chanting sincerely. So unless you hear yourself chanting sincerely, there's no point of reference. You'll be lost in a maybe mechanical. Because if I'm not hearing myself, then I might be doing things mechanically or not consciously. So this, this really, when I heard that first time, it really helped me. There's two things that helped me quite a bit in japa. That one from Srila Prabhupada, try to hear yourself chanting sincerely. And the other one is one mantra at a time. Don't rush to it. Are you anxious? So this is are you anxious to finish your rounds? Are you anxious to hear your rounds? These are also two very, very different motives or goals, if you wish, for japa. Because it's, Krishna is there, should be relishable. But even if it is not, in a form of medicine, however bitter it is, make sure you're putting in your mouth. don't put it in your ears or in your nose. Well, it might work in your nose because there's a passage. But very important, japa will accommodate the most important instruction, that is to always remember Krishna. Because when japa is strong, what happens throughout the day? We become inoculated. We become inoculated against the onslaught of material energy. And this is why the sages have gathered there. They want to curtail. So anyway, after Ramaharshana was removed, Balaram puts Suta, his son, says, no, you lead the yatra. And although Suta was from, that's another point, he was from a lower, low class background, being from, anyway, his mother was Brahman and father was Kshatriya. That was Ramaharshana's lineage. So he comes, but still, he was fully qualified because he had that quality of anxiously eager to hear. Prabhupada had that quality also. And Bhaktisiddhanta, you recognized it. You hear very nicely. So therefore, when you hear, what happens? You can also speak. Unless you hear properly and sufficiently, what's going to come out of your mouth? Well, just that, whatever you heard. So they've gathered there to do that, to put stop, slow down of this very strong influence of material energy, that we are in the smack middle of it. Well, not yet. Lord Chaitanya also has appeared in the meantime, and he has messed up the plans of Kali for the next 10,000 years. And he has put a grand plan in motion. And Srila Prabhupada has brought it worldwide. And we're part of it. Krishna House. Krishna House ki jai. Krishna, I think Christina used to say, Krishna House all over the world, ki jai. Right? All over the universe, even better. Take it to another level. Ultimate. Krishna House ultimate. Jai. So we are part of that. We're part of that. And as we sit here and as we go out, just try to remember there's so much backing behind us, so much empowerment, that you are part of such a great scheme of things, from sages all the way down to Mahaprabhu and all the way down to Rupa Goswami and all the way down to all of you. There's so much power there that you're backed up. And don't be timid about it in applying to your own life and also helping others. So I'm just looking at the clock here. I'll stop here. I don't think we have time for any questions because we already had some, unless. One. Who's the lucky one? I'll comment. Okay, go. Oh, okay, we got two. Two quick ones.
How can we become materially exhausted?
How do we learn, in other words? The best way to learn, of course, is just to observe and learn from others. But I've noticed we also need some experience, unfortunately. But if you're real smart, you'll just observe. That's and then you're able to say, enough. Hopefully, I hope and pray you don't go through the school of hard knocks. Okay, Gopi. Quick.
On the topic of hearing versus remembering, if we're trying to remember, usually it's going to mean that we're trying to think of some Leela of Krishna or whatever. But Krishna says that there's a natural progression in which he manifests himself. It's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. So it starts with the holy name, and that's why we should just hear in the beginning, because we should fully let the holy name manifest. And you can only do that by attentive hearing. And as you said, if we do that, then naturally the next things will come. The next thing is Rupa, Krishna's form, will become clear. So after that is Guna, his qualities. And then finally, when we're sufficiently qualified and very, very much spiritually charged and pure, then the Leela fully.
I'm so glad I asked that question. Group A and Group B. Hopefully those groups can merge.